Hundreds of pupils at Holywells School in Ipswich have joined a campaign to stop it becoming an academy. But the local council says it's the best way to improve standards. Yesterday, teachers in Northampton went on strike over plans for an academy there.
Meet the Agers. Brothers James and Ben go to Holywells High. Mum Anne went there too. This is her today, with husband John. He wasn't a pupil, but he did teach there for 3 decades. And the Agers don't want Holywells turned into an academy. James has created a campaign group on Facebook with more than 700 members. On it, pupils vent their frustrations. Hundreds, too, have signed a petition.
Well, we're trying to let people know what's going on, sort of that a Swedish profit-making organisation are going to have control of Holywells. Their teaching methods have not been used in England before. It's a test for them, and sort of if it all goes wrong, it's going to be the students that lose out, really.
But less than a third of pupils at Holywells get at least 5 Cs at GCSE, and an academy would bring in millions for a new building.
Certainly James's year were the best results that the school had ever had, and this year are only very slightly down, but it's still part of an upward trend. This just seems a change for change's sake, with no proof that it's going to work.
The teachers don't seem to want it, the parents don't seem to want it, and now the pupils don't seem to want it either. Why are you pushing ahead?
Well, with any sort of change like this, obviously you always get people who are concerned about making changes and would rather hang on to what they've got. But our point in this is this, you know, if you always do what you always did, you'll always get what you always had. And we want to improve attainment and achievement from all the schools in Suffolk, and Holywells in particular.
But in cyberspace, opposition is growing. Joel Matt, BBC Look East, Ipswich.
The threat of trainee nurses and midwives being removed from Basildon Hospital has been withdrawn for now. Serious failings were reported at the hospital last week. The Nursing and Midwifery Council has now said it needs more information and will be scrutinising the trust closely. It will also conduct a review of the way midwives are supervised. A man accused of being involved in a multi-million-pound jewellery robbery at Southend Airport has been found guilty. Marius Xenophondus was cleared of conspiracy to steal, not guilty. The jury will carry on deciding next week on the verdicts of 2 other defendants.
A number of towns and cities hit hard by the recession are getting cash from the government. Basildon, Norwich, Southend and Tendring will get a little more than £50,000 each.
If any of these towns need tips about how best to use this money, they should look to Harlow.
Hello! Oh!
It got a similar sum a few months ago and it has, say officials, made a difference.
The footfall here is quite strong, despite a recession over the last year, and the number of empty shops is going down, which is a very, very positive sign.
They work quickly to find new traders to take on empty shops, like this one, a baguette business which opened today. It's run by Samuel, who's adamant that despite the recession, it's the right time and the right place.
The centre itself, attracts over 250,000, visitors that comes into Harlow Centre, and there's a lot of developments happening around as well, that of course will bring in more residents into the area.
So is £50,000 a sizable dollop or a drop in the ocean? We are shoppers in Norwich, one of the cities destined to get this fresh cash.
I think it'd be really nice because it's depressing seeing empty shops everywhere, so I think it'd be really nice.
I think money could be spent in a lot better ways.
I think that's a good thing. Very good thing for the city, don't you?
Make it look cleaner, more attractive, yeah.
Back in Harlow, there is great optimism. A £300 million regeneration of town centre north is planned. But this government money has still helped with the basics, converting an empty shop to a studio for local artists, free parking, Christmas lights, street entertainers, even chewing gum removal. The fact is that shopper numbers are holding up. Pre-Christmas, they say, there are reasons to be cheerful. Kevin Birch, BBC Look East.
A lifetime ban on protesting on an animal rights extremist has today been overturned by the Court of Appeal. Gavin Medhall was jailed for helping to organise a terror campaign against companies connected to Huntingdon Life Sciences. He was given an ASBO, an indefinite ASBO, but today a judge said it should last 5 years. Officials at the port of Felixstowe have seized 40,000 bottles of beer being smuggled into the country for Christmas. It had arrived from Rotterdam on a lorry bound for London. The UK Border Agency seized more than 24,000 pints from the lorry, which didn't have the correct documents. The government would have lost £14,000 in unpaid duty and VAT.
It's been a good year for the Theatre Royal in Norwich. Today, at their annual meeting, the venue announced a surplus of nearly £40,000. It's down to more theatre-goers and more big productions.
More bums on seats has helped boost the Theatre Royal in Norwich. They've seen the average number of tickets sold increase to 78% compared to a national average of 62%. Today, at the venue's annual meeting, they highlighted their successes.
It measures our performance to the end of March 2009. So it's the 12 months that take us to that period, and it will show a surplus of about £37,000. We have a core of people who come really quite often, but the fringes of our audiences are always renewing themselves, from young to old.
The big shows like Cats, Calendar Girls and The Witches of Eastwick starring Marty Pellow helped draw in the theatre-goers, but last year's Panto was also a major hit.
The Snow White last year sold over 65,000 tickets and took very nearly £900,000, which was a rise of about £200,000 over the previous year. It's an extraordinary success. The fact that the bigger brands now like coming to Norwich because of the new auditorium means that the audiences like coming to the Theatre Royal because of its better front-of-house facilities, and we've managed to improve them both.
The outlook for the Theatre Royal is good. Advance ticket bookings for next year's big production Les Miserables has already broken 1 million, showing that the demand for theatre is still there, but also producers are very keen to host their productions in Norwich. Dawn Gerber, BBC Look East.
So you've got a house full of teenagers using computers and watching TV. So you might imagine not much chance of being energy efficient. But this is a house in Denmark, and they're hoping to prove us wrong.
This weekend, the Climate Summit in Copenhagen gets underway. Delegates from nearly 200 countries will get together to discuss how to cut the world's carbon emissions. So could this house be a small way of achieving that? Leslie George has been to find out.
A typical teenager. The first thing 15-year-old Christina Kragrup does when she gets home from school is log on to her computer.
Every family has a teenager almost, and you know, a teenager also uses a lot of energy, and if the person who uses all the energy thinks more about it and uses a lot less, then maybe make a change.
But this home is anything but typical, as it's the only house in Denmark that produces all the energy that it uses, so it's energy neutral. And the 4 members of the Kragrup family are the guinea pigs putting it to the test. 580 sensors measure every bit of power that they use.
It has actually been a surprise how much we are using, and to really get numbers on it on a more regular base, I think that has been a surprise.
Do you ever run out of hot water?
No. Well, we have actually run out of hot water. That gives us information that maybe we take too long showers or something we could work on there.
The house is run by the Danish Technological Institute and has an identical twin next door, which is the laboratory where they monitor the energy. The design incorporates solar and photovoltaic panels, special heating pumps and thick walls full of insulation. And the monitoring is all live on the web so the world can see it.
Is it about testing the house or testing the family?
Both. We would like to see how does the family work together with the technology. And for the moment, the family is using 139 watts. We can see that they have now used 145 litres of hot water today, which is a bit more than their budget.
Changing behaviour to translate our green intentions into practical action is what this Danish experiment is designed to address. Leslie George, BBC Look East.